So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have David BASZUCKI, who's the CEO and founder of Roblox, and he's going to be talking about big risks, thinking outside the box. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Allison. Woo! Hey, I'm Dave BASZUCKI. I'm the founder, CEO of Roblox, and I'm going to take you on a little bit of a personal journey today about how we started our company, where we encountered risks, and where we kind of took some big risks, and I think luckily thought a little outside the box. For all of you who are starting a studio, who are a producer, who are working on something, hopefully my talk has a little pertinence to you, and I'll kind of relay some learning as well. And we might want to title this talk, Big Risks Outside the Sandbox, because that's what Roblox is. We are a kids' sandbox environment. We're on PCs, Macs, and mobile devices. And we're really founded under the premise that our users come to create interesting things and then play with those interesting things. We're a digital toy. We're a physically simulated sandbox in that our users can make cars, trucks. You'll get an idea of this. We're potentially bigger than you might realize. If you go to ComScore right now and look in various categories, kids, games, online games, teens, toys, education, in every one of those categories, we're #1 for total visits, #1 for page views. We do well over 2.5 billion page views a month, and we're #1 for total minutes, which I'll give you a little insight into as well. About 30% of the time our users spend on our website, and about 70% they spend inside 3D worlds that their friends and others have created. Some fun facts. The time spent on the Roblox website is more page views or time than Pinterest, more page views or time than LinkedIn. So you can get an idea of the enormous engagement in the environment. And on mobile now, we're getting about 7% of our aggregate play time on iOS devices. So how did this start? Really, it goes way back to when I was a kid, and every one of us has a personal passion. Mine was always construction toys, and starting from very simple construction toys to getting into more and more advanced, construction toys. You name it, I had it. The erector sets, the electronic kits, all of those kind of things. It was really the thing I was most into, and that interest, as I grew older, came. My hobby was playing with stuff and building stuff and taking stuff apart and working on engines and all of those kind of things. So when I started my first company with a partner, we fell into kind of our passion and we created a company that revolved around building interesting. Are we good? Okay. We created our very first company called Knowledge Revolution. It was kind of about building stuff. It was about building stuff in 2D. It was very narrowly focused. It was for physics education. The product was called Interactive Physics. But if you look at kind of where casual games are right now, our interactive physics product was pretty ahead of its time. It was a sandbox. You could make all kinds of physics experiments. It had a physics engine. And it was actually good enough to take physics problems out of a physics textbook and model them. So we sold millions of copies of this physics software. We won Mac user awards. We won all kinds of awards. But we noticed something interesting with our physics software. And that was our users really wanted to use it to make interesting stuff. Your average 12-year-old boy wanted to, throw a crazy character or make a crazy hangman game or, blow up a car. Whatever kind of creativity they could imagine. So that company got sold, and me and one of our partners started thinking about what should we do next. And through hook or by crook, we took some very big risks that I'll explain to you that kind of came from, not being experts in the gaming space, having a personal vision of what we wanted to do, and kind of following our passion. We had a vision that we wanted to make an online immersive world, essentially a digital toy, We wanted everything to work like the real world, so we wanted this thing to be physically simulated. We wanted a lot of scale. We wanted you to go and have a great library of things to build with. And we wanted a lot of people to be able to play with this thing. So this is about a 7-year-old slide of kind of when we started thinking about the company, what should we make? We had a vision that ultimately, in looking at all of the 3D kind of things that you see out there, the typical way of sharing content was very static turbo squid type models. We really wanted a system where you could share a functional model. So if you wanted a bulldozer, you could find it, you could take that bulldozer apart. It had motors, it had axles, it had wheels. It was really being driven by first principles rather than some kind of construct that someone put together. Luckily, as we started planning this and thinking about it, unlike many other kind of play and toy areas, the construction toy area is one of the most difficult to get right online. Many other things, puzzles, board games, vehicles, characters, a lot of these other areas of the toy market space have been somewhat kind of complemented by digital properties right now. And some of the online equivalents are bigger than the physical toy space. Construction toys continues to be like a great big growing toy category. So we started this company, big risk. No one in the company from the gaming business. We were from educational software. We were from mechanical engineering software. We said, what the heck, we're going to go for it. When we started this company, which was over 6 years ago, this was right before Club Penguin got purchased. It was right before Webkins took off. And it was right before Facebook games and mobile games and all of that happened. So neither kids nor gaming was hot at that time. And if you would have talked to a venture capitalist before, when we started the company versus the day after Club Penguin was sold, you see a massive shift. And we all read the reports of 200 kids' virtual worlds, 6 months after that Club Penguin acquisition. We were very techy. We really wanted to make this physically simulated multiplayer thing, and we wanted it to be super fast. So, we were C++ engineers, and we just wanted it to be that way. And in the face of that, there was, C#, there was Shockwave, there was Flash, there was Java. There's all kinds of other stuff that we kind of foregoed, basically because this is how we wanted our game to work. But once again, a lot of VC pushback and other people, it's like, downloadable clients are never going to work for this game. There's too much friction. Going after kids in this space, no, quote, viral loops. No Facebook social network, no mobile app store with some discovery. So the only way we had for users to find out about this was primarily word of mouth, which at the time we did not understand. And finally, here's a huge risk. This is the starving actor risk. Here we were. We had started a company. I was a executive VP in a big public company that had acquired us. And here we were doing something because we thought it was cool. But we took that risk. And I'm going to show you kind of how some of these risks bore out for us and how they kind of turned into good things. Very first version of Roblox, right from the start, we knew we wanted to play games, browse models, share user content, have a community, have contests. This first mock-up from a little over 6 years ago is very true to the vision of where we've taken the company. Very first version of the product that we shipped very early. Radically early, I would say, relative to what you might see in today's market, because we wanted feedback as quickly as possible. We literally had characters that looked like frozen statues, moving around because we shipped before we had animated characters. We we had a lot of fights about our character looks ridiculous. It's just a couple blocks put together. We should go further on this, but we shipped that as well. It was very valuable to us because in this online space where we were shipping every few days, we could get a lot of feedback and iterate. So one of the core values of the company ended up being how quickly can we iterate, and we're still doing that today. The day we launched, we had no SEO, no SEM, no nothing. We went for several months having 5 people online at the same time. We talked to these users. They would come in and hang out with us. But that growth has continued from that point. And you can see from this point, we went to another version of our product, 10 people simultaneously online, 100 people simultaneously, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. And now at peak times, we have about 140,000 simultaneous players between PC, Mac, and iOS devices, all playing simultaneously. So I'm just going to give you a quick peek at Roblox here. There's 3 big pieces of it. We have a product called Roblox Studio, where about 5 to 10% of our more hardcore users create content. We have a big cloud that we manage, where we run all of these games online. And you can imagine the size of a cloud that can run 140,000 simultaneous users in 3D space. That's a lot of users. It's more simultaneous users than Second Life. It's more simultaneous users than a lot of other virtual worlds you've heard of. And finally, you can come to Roblox.com, PC, Mac, or iOS to play all of these games. So everything here is built by a user. Because we have a physics engine inside of Roblox, you're not restricted to XYZ alignment. Our users build first-person shooters. They build obstacle courses. We have an awesome dynamic lighting system that is physically realistic, both for moving as well as static lights. Some of our games at peak times will have 5 to 10,000 simultaneous players in various shards of the game. You can kind of see, giving some simple tools, what our users will create. Some of our users become famous. Some of our users create games that have been played over 20 million times. And we just had a giant user conference in Chicago, London, and New York, where we had over 1,000 of our users come together to play. So a quick little view of Roblox. And then let's start talking about, as we get into this, where some of those risks started to pay off. So that C++ client that created friction for us on PC, Mac, now with mobile, having a native client is actually a huge benefit and opportunity. And on a mobile device where performance is so critical, we've been able to take that exact same client and build 3 ways and offer the ability for our users to play together on various devices. And it's also streamlined our R&D process. So we're very glad we stuck to kind of that instinct of what we wanted to do. That risk paid off very nicely for us. Little history of the growth of the company. Right now, in any given month, we'll have over 3 million real users coming to play inside of the system. And they are starting to play an enormous amount of time. We look at the market for play with physical bricks, which would be Connects, Erector Set, Lego. The aggregate world time for playing with those physical products, which is creative, constructive time, is about 420 million hours. And the time spent in Roblox right now is 50 million hours. So that's hard to imagine. We have 1/9 of the engagement and creative time in our system of the whole real world market for bricks, including Legos for engagement. So lessons. For us, we have developed a hiring pattern where, besides looking for core industry knowledge, we really look for generalists who show some passion around creativity and construction. And that could be an Eagle Scout badge in model rocketry. That could be, something that sticks out for that candidate that indicates kind of passion and generalist. For us, even at the time when there was not a big market for kids or gaming, having a physical world parallel, and there's lots of physical world parallels in other products, be it Pinterest, which is scrapbooking, you name it, having that physical real world market can indicate a big online opportunity. Every VC we met, or most, had problems with our client, had problems with our kids marketing at the start, but the ones we've ended up with were much more into our big vision. We've wasted an enormous amount of time going after what I would call mechanical viral loop features, as opposed to word of mouth quality. In the end, word of mouth quality is always the best viral loop, at least for us. And so we've actually pulled back on tricks to get users to sign up and those kind of things, and try to put more focus on quality. And then having a big vision that goes out 5 years, which is for us being a great digital toy, can help you navigate, I think, some of the difficulties and ups and downs along the way. So it's a little story about some of the risks that we took and how they actually turned out for the better. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
What's your revenue model?
So our revenue model, we make money in 3 ways, actually. We have a club membership, we have a virtual currency, and we do some advertising. So all 3 of those are working together. On mobile, we don't advertise.
At the beginning of your discussion, you've identified some of the core items that you felt were risks. Knowing what you know today, what would you do differently when you starting a company like Roblox? Would you take on those risks, or would you actually
I would say,
mitigate
if
them?
anything, we've been too conservative in going after our opportunity. Even within those risks, I think moving faster, really taking even slightly bigger risks might have been beneficial to us. So, if anything, not be so conservative.
Are there any new emerging distribution platforms that you're excited about or looking into?
So we're eyeing them all up, as you can imagine. So next generation consoles, Steam, Android, Chrome Store, Mac App Store, Windows 8 Store. We're watching all of these different stores that have some SEO value, as they start to emerge, and trying to figure out where we might want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.